Hello guys, how's it going? Hope you're well. Today we got a Yaris T Sport and this is a 1.5 litre. This is my car. I had it for about a year now and the time come to do the full service on it now. So this car comes with the perfect service history, which is brilliant. Previous owner kept it all nice and tidy as well, so it's all perfect. Really happy with that bit, and yeah, I'm gonna keep it that way as well. So here we got the full service. I'm going to be doing a video on how to do it all in one go in this video, and I'm also going to do a little videos in case you're just looking to change the oil and oil filter only, or if you're looking at how to change the air filter, or to change the pollen or the spark plugs. So yeah, if that is something you're interested in, tune in guys and let's get started. Right, so as you can see I got the car on the lift, but before I go up I need to mention straight away the first checks that I would do on the car is to check that all of your lights are working. So all the front ones, you can use the phone on the recording. So check your side lights, your headlights, indicators, main beams and all that. Also check your rear ones, which is really important so other people can see what's happening, what you're doing. So check your brake lights, the side lights, reverse lights, and all the indicators as well, hazard light. So once you've done all those checks, next thing will be obviously to pop the bonnet. Obviously on the wipers you would know already if there's an issue because they won't be cleaning the window properly. So you're gonna get the car ready to start doing the service. I was gonna say, I know not everyone got a lift. Well, most of the people haven't actually got a lift unfortunately. But yeah, you can use obviously the jack stands and trolleys to get the car up, to drain the oil and etc. But please be careful, and I do keep mentioning this guys, please be careful when you're working on the car. Right, so just a quick one obviously under the bonnet. Like I said, I do apologise, it's a bit dirty. But what we got obviously for the people that are doing this for the first time, you've got obviously your engine. So this is the oil fill up cap. So obviously you have to take that off. This is your oil level dipstick. So what you do usually is you pull it out, you clean it with a clean bit of paper, put it back in there for a couple of seconds, pull it out again and check what level is the oil on. And this is the check that I would do usually at least once a month, depending on the mileage that you do in your car. Moving on, if you look there, that's your brake fluid bottle and the brake booster behind there. So this is where obviously you got your brake fluid. Then if you look here, this is your screen wash bottle. So this is where you top up your screen wash. Make sure you do mix it up properly so it doesn't get frozen in the winter time and damage your pump. So if you look here, this is the cap that hopefully you don't need to worry about. This is the coolant hose cap. So this is the pressure cap. When the car is hot, do not even try and open that because there's a lot of pressure in there, you're going to get burnt. So to do the spark plugs, you will have to take this cover off, which you have got two 10mm nuts on there that you have to remove and another two 10mm nuts on there. Then the cover comes off, you got your coil packs, 4 of them because it's the 4-cylinder engine, and you got 4 spark plugs there as well. And moving to this side, so this box here, this is where your air filter is. You've got a little clamps that you have to undo. We will get to that in a second. So you've got the throttle body there as well, which controls all the air and fuel mixture. If you look here, there's another similar to the screen wash bottle cap. So this is your coolant cap, and it does say on most of the Japanese cars, you always got the description there anyway. So it says coolant on there, and please make sure you use the coolant that's already in the car. Then if you look there, you've got the battery there as well. And the battery has got negative and positive clamp on it, so in case you jump start in the battery or something, you need to make sure that you're putting it on the right side. And yeah guys, this is just the overall, just for some people that might be beginners and haven't really got a lot of ideas of what's going on under here. This is just a quick description for you. So to do the oil change, all we're going to need is the oil filter. As you can see, you got the part number there, but I can put that in the description below, and the correct oil as well. So you can get your oil from Toyota as well, or you can just buy a different brand oil. So make sure you double check with your local dealer what is the correct oil for your engine, and depending on what country you're in and what temperatures you're at as well, because that will make a difference. And I'm also going to give you in the description the amount of oil you should buy for this engine. So to change the oil, I do recommend having the engine slightly warm, so it's not cold. It will help to drain the oil and get rid of most of the old oil out of there. So my engine is almost on normal operating temperature. To start with the oil change, I always pull the dipstick out to make sure that I know that I'm draining the oil, and also obviously take the oil cap off and just leave it there. So now we're done at the top. What we have to do now is go up in the air, or in case you're using obviously jack stands or transmission jack, get under the car and get to the sump plug to start draining it. And also in the same time, you'll have to undo the oil filter. Right, so under the car you got a 14mm bolt, and you also got a washer on there. So that's what you have to do to drain the oil. So be careful, because it will start coming out straight away. And also if you look at the top here, and you have got the oil filter, so make sure you have got the right oil filter before you take it off. But that part number that I got on there, it will be the correct oil filter, but unless you're buying it from your car parts or somewhere, aftermarket oil filter, just make sure you got the right one. So what you need for this is, I'm going to use the universal adapter for the oil filters that I can put the link in the description below for you, and a couple of my ratchets, so 1/2" ratchet from Draper Tools, and also going to be using the ratchet with the 14mm socket to obviously undo the sump plug and do it up afterwards. And I do recommend making sure that you have got a new washer when you're doing this job. So this is the washer that I was talking about, and make sure you obviously have got the new one. So like I said, you can use the universal tool to undo your oil filter. There you go. Now just undo it a little bit by the tool, and then you can use your hand. Obviously make sure you have got the drainer under it, because it will start leaking oil. So I usually undo it a little bit, let it drain for a bit first. There you go, just leave it draining for a little bit. As you can see, it's not dripping anymore. Just grab hold of it, start undoing it slowly. There you go, that's the oil filter off. There'll be a bit more oil coming out, and obviously you have got oil in the actual oil filter. Once you drain that, I will use a bit of paper and just clean around the clear part where the oil filter sits. Just make sure there's no dirt or uneven surface there, to make sure that the new seal is going to go and sit on there properly. So once it stops dripping, or it's dripping very slowly, you can obviously put the sump plug back in. Like I said, don't forget to use a new washer if you can, please. And the torque setting for this is around 25 to 30 Newton meters. I will put in the description below the correct torque setting. So just do it up. So when you're putting the oil filter on there, you already got grease on there. If you're using the aftermarket one, I do advise putting a bit of engine oil around the rubber seal to make sure the seals on there properly. And the other thing that some people like to do is fill up the oil filter with the new engine oil, just to avoid that a little bit the second that you dispense out the oil in the system in there. Right, so when you're doing up the oil filter, depending how strong you're feeling, usually you don't need any tools to do it up. So all you need is a good grip on your hand, and just turn it as hard as you can with your hand, and that usually does the job. So grab hold of it. And do it up as much as you can by hand. Clean everything up. So now that we're done at the bottom, we can put the engine oil in it. So in England, it recommends to put 530 oil in it, and I will put the part number or oil number in description below. But there is a couple of apps that you can use, and obviously call your local dealer to find out which oil you need. So this is actually a main dealer oil. And fun enough, for this 530, it's actually quite a decent price at main dealer, not as much as you would expect. So you need 3.7 litres of oil for this engine, and this is what we're going to put in now. There we are. So I measured 3.5 litres and put 3.5 litres in this bottle. So now we can put the oil cap on. Don't forget, now that you're going to check the oil level, it might come up as it's above maximum. Let me just clean it off first. But if it's slightly above maximum, don't forget when you're going to run the car, you're going to run through the whole system and fill up the oil filter as well, so we'll lose a little bit. So yeah, as you can see, we're just slightly above the maximum level. Like I said, I'm going to start the car up now, let it run for 20 seconds, and then recheck the oil level. Right, so after running the engine, I let it stand for 10-20 seconds so the oil goes all to the bottom. Then you get your dipstick out of there, clean it off again. Put it back in for 3 seconds. And then we are spot on the maximum level. That's great. So from now on, what I would do, I would let the car run to the normal operating temperature, and while I'm doing that, I would definitely check under the engine, look at the sump plug area and also the oil filter area to make sure that nothing's leaking, and just double check that everything's tight. And that is the oil change, oil service part done. Right, so the other important thing, guys, to do is when you're doing the service, make sure you record the mileage when you serviced it as well. It's important for your service record. I always do that as well to make sure it's always done on time. So in this part, we're going to be replacing the air filter, which is nice and easy, guys. It's located obviously in the air box that we got there with a couple of clips that are holding it on. So once we're done them, you'll be able to get the old air filter out of there and put this one in, and make sure that you notice that air filter has got one corner that's slightly different, and that's obviously the way they will have to go back in there, but you'll see that when you're removing the old filter. Right, so to replace it, there's a couple of clips that you have to pull off, one there, one on the other side. So you pull it towards you, it releases it from the plastic locks on there, and you'll be able to lift it up a little bit and get the air filter out of there. There's just enough room to get it out of there. And like I said, notice how it's located in there. So you see that different angle is on this side. So make sure you put the new one that way around as well. So if you look, they're the same air filters, but if you look at the difference, this is obviously done quite a lot of work, and you can see all the dirt they already got in there, and this will be compromising your engine performance. So just to let you know, guys, while we're here, this is the part number from the main dealer. Obviously, if you give them a call and give me your reg, they will give you the correct part anyway. So as you can see, nice and clean. Make sure this corner is here. Lift it up again. Slide it in there. Make sure it's nice and even. You have to push this bit down first, located in them plastic locators. Push it down on this side and put your clips back on. So as you can see, guys, this definitely was due to replacement. This is really dirty, and you actually got leaves and stuff in there, which is pretty bad. So yeah, by doing this, you already helped a lot to your engine and to better performance of it, and also better fuel consumption. So to replace the spark plugs, we have to undo the 410mm nuts that we got on there. So one there, another one there, and another one there. So we're going to get them out very quickly. And the cover should come off. So now we got the 4 coil packs that we need to unplug first. With 4 plugs, please be careful with them. It's nice and easy to unplug them. You just have to push it on the end there and wiggle it a little bit, and it will come off, as you can see. And then you got 10mm holding the coil in there, 10mm bolts, so we're going to get them out of there as well. So just a quick one, guys. Why do we replace the spark plugs? And the reason for that is it's very important for the combustion, for the proper combustion of the engine, because obviously the name gives it away. Obviously it produces the spark to ignite the fuel that you put into your petrol engine. Obviously diesel engines haven't got them because they have got glow plugs, and it's a completely different system. So the spark will be produced by your spark plug to ignite the fuel and produce that good strong explosion in your engine, and that is why we're going to replace them, because over the time they do get worn out and they don't produce a strong spark plug, or sometimes they even stop producing the spark plugs, which cause you misfire. So that's why we're going to replace them today to avoid that happening and make sure they're nice and fresh. So just going to unplug all of them. I do recommend not using the power tools on here, so just do it by hand, guys, because you don't want to snap the bolt in there. They might be slightly tight if they haven't been done in a while. So just do it by hand to avoid snapping anything. When removing the coils, please make sure you put them in the exact order as well that you remove them. I know it's not important, but that's what I usually do. And don't drop them or damage them, please, because that will ruin your coil pack. So as you get them out, make sure the seal stays on there as well. As you can see, there's a little weatherproof seal so the water doesn't get in there and then your rubbish as well. So make sure that's on there, because sometimes you can drop them in the engine bay. Just wiggle it a little bit. It will come out. There we are. So obviously down there in the hole you have got a spark plug. So now we need extension and a proper spark plug socket to go in there to get them out of there. So for this job I'm going to use the Draper ratchet there with the extension, and also this is the proper spark plug socket that we got there. When they're in the kit they call them 10mm, but it's obviously not 10mm in there, but that's what they call them. And you have got a rubber in there that will pull the spark plug out of there. But it is the 16mm socket. If you haven't got the proper spark plug socket, you can use a normal deep 16mm socket and then just use a magnet to obviously pick up the spark plugs out of there. So again, please do not use any power tools because they can snap the spark plug in there. There we are. So as you can see, the rubber is holding the spark plug in there. And now that we've got the first spark plug out of there, you can inspect it, see if there's any damage. You can measure the gap, but obviously we're replacing the spark plug, it's not very important. But it has got quite a bit of a sign of wear on it. I'm going to show you and compare it to the new spark plug now, so you've got an idea of what it will look like when it's new. Right, so here as you can see we've got the new spark plug there. As you can see the part number is exactly the same. Double check that please. The size is the same, which is very important. And now like I mentioned earlier, you can see how worn this is. If you look at the bottom there, you can see, let me just focus on it. You can see that the tip on this one is longer and it's in a perfect condition, and tip on this one is quite worn and it's uneven as well. So that is the difference. You can see that it's been used a lot, and this will definitely improve the performance of it as well. So that's what we're going to put in there. And before I proceed with that, just want to let you know, I usually personally put a little bit of copper grease just on the beginning of the thread there, just to make it easier going in and make sure that it's going to come out next time without any problems. As you can see, you have got a little washer there, and it is important to make sure you torque them up when they're in there and don't overdo it so you snap it. Let's get the rest of them out of there. While the spark plugs are out, please make sure they don't drop anything in there. It's really important. So make sure the area where you're working, everything's nice and clear, and none of the nuts or bolts can drop in there. In case they do drop, then you're definitely in for trouble. So please make sure everything's nice and tidy around the area. Right guys, so as you can see, I already put a little bit of copper grease on the threads there, so it's all good. And when you're putting them in there, the torque settings is 27 Newton meters. I did double check that. I will put that in the description below as well. So make sure you don't drop them anywhere so it doesn't change the gap that you got there. You need to make sure that it's as it was. So I usually would use the socket, put it in there. Obviously the rubber will hold it in there, and just put it back in there. Right, so as you can see, I got my new torque wrench from Draper Tools here, and it's already set up to 27 Newton meters. So just gonna torque them up, make sure it's done up properly. There you go, that's that click. That's that click. Yeah. Lovely. So I do highly recommend using a torque wrench, guys, so you don't overdo it. So from this point, what you have to do is put your coil packs back on there. Make sure, like I said, the seal is on there. Get your 10 mils back in there. Now I'm pretty sure the torque settings for them is around 10 Newton meters or 12. I will double check that and put that in the description below. Just don't go crazy on them. They obviously need to hold the coils on there, but don't overdo them. Plug it all back in. Make sure the plugs are secure on there, so it's all good. And now we are ready to put the cover back on and then start up the car. Don't go too crazy on them, they just need to hold the cover on there. Again, probably around 8 Newton meters on them. Lovely, and that is job done. Once everything is back on, please make sure you start the car up and obviously make sure that everything's running properly and haven't got any misfires. Lovely, I would say that is spot on. Right guys, the other important bit on the brake fluid as well, you do every 2 years to replace the brake fluid, but you have got a video from me already on the Celica to show you how to bleed the brake fluid and what 2 different tools you can use. In case you have got the air compressor, it's obviously going to make it a lot easier. It's a one-man job and you have to get all the brake fluid out of there, suck it all out of there, put the new brake fluid in. Usually it's a .4, but on the cover you usually got the brake fluid they're going to need. But yeah, usually we put .4 in them. And then you bleed each single caliper on your car. So if you do the bleed, then make sure you suck enough fluid out of there for about 20 seconds while keeping an eye on your brake fluid level and topping it up to make sure you flush all the system through. And there's another tool that you can use, the manual vacuum tool, that you can see in that video as well. It is in my playlist. And the last option, if you haven't got none of them tools, you can always ask your friend to obviously press the brakes while you're bleeding the system. So you have to undo the bleed on the caliper, ask him to put his foot down slowly, let the brake fluid come out, then do it up when he's all the way down with the pedal, do the bleeder up, and he goes up again, and then repeat that procedure a few times till obviously enough brake fluid went through the system. While I'm saying all this guys, on the brake fluid you have got the level there, if you can see the max, so that's where you should keep your level of the brake fluid. Right, the other important thing to check guys, you have got 2 auxiliary belts on there. Let me just focus on them. So you got one there and you got another one going the other way. So there's 2 auxiliary belts and you need to make sure you look at them very well with the light and see if there's any cracks in them or if there's any damage on them. If there is, you will need to replace that, and that will be a different video because it is a little bit involved as well. Right guys, on the coolant bottle you need to check your coolant level. So if you shine the light there, you'll be able to see the max mark and you'll be able to see the coolant level. You can shake the car a little bit just to make it move a little bit. Usually it's a pink, red coolant in there, but you might have a different color in case someone flashed the system before. But like I said, usually you should have the pink coolant in there, and you can get that supplied by your main dealer or the parts department at your Euro Car Parts or something similar. So please do check the level on there. And if you do to replacement, that is something that I can provide you with another video as well, but you only replace the coolant on this every 100,000 miles. Right, so to replace the pollen filter, you will have to take the glove box out by squeezing both sides in. It will drop down lower and just pull it out of there. So they're the only tabs that hold it in there. Once you get the glove box out of there, there's a cover that you can see with 2 tabs on the side that you push in, pull the whole cover out. As you can see, that is one dirty pollen filter. This is obviously haven't been changed in quite a while. So we're going to get this one out and fit the new one in there, and I'll show you the difference now between new one and the old one. Right guys, so just so you can see, that is pretty bad pollen filter, and it's definitely the reason to replace your pollen filter, because this is all the stuff there you got in your air circulating inside the car. So to get it out of there, you just squeeze it out of there, avoid making a mess. I know it's slightly different, but it is just because it's a different make of the pollen filter. So you get it in there. There's a little tabs that are going to hold it in. Right, so the new one's in there. Just get it back in there, push it all the way in. You'll see the tabs lock in and it's nice and secure in there. Right, so to fit the glove box back in, you have got a couple of bits that's supposed to locate in them cutouts there. So make sure you're in the right place. Just feel it with your finger, push it in, squeeze the sides in, and there you go, job done. So just double check that everything's working properly. That's all good, and that is the pollen filter job done. Right guys, so once you're done with everything here, you should be pretty proud that you've done the service yourself. I think it's pretty good, and obviously you saved yourself some money, and hopefully you've done everything properly if you follow my instructions. So everything should be done properly, and you should be safe as well. So once you're done, obviously don't forget to run the car, check for all the oil leaks, check that everything is running properly, no misfires, and you're ready to put your bonnet down, and that will be job done guys. So I do hope you enjoyed the video, found it helpful guys. Please comment below, let me know. Also, like I said, if you're not a subscriber yet, do subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye.